Hi guys, Matt Hancock's here and welcome to this first of a series of videos that I've just put together, just giving you a little bit more information into digestive health. Now, for me, there's arguably no more important system in the body than the digestive system if you want to achieve optimal health and vitality. If your gut isn't working properly, then your results are going to be very limited. Period. So this is a really influential key system for you to really understand if you want to improve your overall health. So before I delve into more information about this little video and obviously what's to follow, I thought I'd introduce myself first off. For those of you that have not heard my videos before or seen me present, basically my name is Matt Hancock. So I've been in the industry now for about 15 years. I started off in the trenches really as a fitness instructor while I was studying university, sports and exercise science at university. After graduation, I set up a personal training business. So I rented out, or I gave money to a gym, and then was able to do personal training or run my business from their gym. I did that for a couple of years, and a lot of my training, a lot of my background really came from my own training, my own experiences from a sporting perspective, and then using research and science that I've done on my courses, I just kind of implemented sort of sports performance, but in training. So I loved training in outdoors more than in the actual gym, to be honest, but mainly because I felt a bit confined when I was in the gym itself. So after a couple of years, when I got a business going, a very successful business, the gym approached me and said that I had to go in-house or go and do my own thing, basically give them my business or leave. So I left and I did a bit of traveling and came back with the idea that I wanted to create space specific for my type of training that I love teaching. So I created a personal training studio and did that for about 5 or 6 years before then expanding into what I have now, which is a much larger space, and I'm able to train small groups and do semi-private training with people, but still with that sort of athletic conditioning style. So I absolutely love that and have a real passion for that type of training, and I've worked with many kind of pro and semi-pro athletes and recreational athletes, mainly football, athletics and cycling are the three kind of main athletes that I've worked with. So as well as the actual training side of things, I used to use a nutritionist to do the nutritional side, and then I thought, I found it very interesting myself, and so I delved into more nutrition and created more of a holistic approach to improving people's health. So not just the exercise, but the nutrition and the supplementation side, which has led to me doing a lot of speaking now internationally, and also consulting PTs in those areas. So that's kind of what I do at the moment, and run my studios that way. So getting into today's video and this little sequence, now that I've introduced myself, what I'm going to be covering in this whole sequence is basically we're going to start off with gut flora, inflammation and obesity, because many facets are well understood about obesity, okay, particularly the consequences, but what I want to go into is kind of take a little trip into the intestinal system and learn about sort of the connection between inflammation, your gut bacteria, and body composition, because there's a real relationship there that not everybody is aware of. So I think you'll find that really interesting. I'm going to do a short video on the stomach itself, because for me, nutrition isn't just about going and buying the right food or having the right and cooking the right meals and putting that meal in front of you on a plate. Okay, that's really just the first stage of healthy nutrition. What we need to do is we need to digest our food properly. So we're going to look into, I'm going to do a short video on the stomach and if we're digesting our food properly. Then we need to look into the journey of that food through the intestines, because this is where really we absorb the nutrients from the foods and then transport it to our cells for use. So we're going to look a little bit more into that before, obviously, you know, the larger intestines and where we've got to come to the fourth step, which is to eliminate the waste, all right, and in a timely manner. So we're going to look into that in the intestines video, and then I'm going to do a video which will just put it all together, and hopefully so that it will all make sense for you, and you can then use this knowledge obviously for yourself and your loved ones. But if you're a coach yourself, hopefully there'll be something that you can then share with some of your clients. All right, so I want to start really looking into the journey. Okay, so the journey that the food actually takes. So the digestive system is the means by which the body transforms food, okay, into energy. It needs to rebuild, repair, and fuel itself, and so that it uses the food for that, obviously. Okay, so the digestive system breaks down the food, extracting the nutrients and assimilating them for use throughout the body. Now, the major organs involved within digestion are the liver, which is here, this lovely big organ here, obviously the stomach, the small intestine, and the large intestine. So liver, stomach, small intestine is here, and that goes into the large intestine and out the other end. So let's go into this a little bit more detail, okay? It's all right to know the organs and we know that the food passes through, but what actually is happening in those areas? So the esophagus then, this is this long muscular tube that kind of runs from the mouth into the stomach. All right. Now, the stomach is situated at the top of the abdomen, which is obviously where all the digestive organs are. And this normally holds about 3 pints of food from a single meal. And here the food is mixed with hydrochloric acid and also other digestive juices to help kind of ingest the food, yeah, to facilitate the breakdown of carbohydrates, protein and fats into small, more absorbable units. Now, there is a valve at the entrance of the stomach from the esophagus, okay? Now, this allows food to enter while keeping the acid-laden food from refluxing back into the esophagus. And some people do suffer with acid reflux, and that's when this valve isn't quite doing its job properly, or if there's a buildup of acid, and this can cause damage and pain. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. Now, the small intestine, okay, so after the stomach, the food, and it's digested in the stomach, it then comes into the small intestine. The small intestine is about 15 to 20 feet long, and is where the major absorption of nutrients from food takes place. Okay, so this is made up of 3 sections, which is the first being the duodenum, the second being the jejunum, and obviously the ileum is the last part of your intestine. So most of the iron and calcium is absorbed in the duodenum, okay, so the top part of your small intestine. And this is where food is mixed with bile produced by the liver and other juices from the pancreas. In the middle part of the small intestine, okay, which obviously goes down to the ileum from the duodenum, this is responsible for a little bit of digestion, yeah, before coming into the last part, which is the ileum, which is the main part of the intestine, and this is where the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E and K and all other nutrients are absorbed. So this is where absorption takes place. Now there's another valve separating the small and large intestines, and this is to keep bacteria from the food in the colon, okay, and it keep the contents in the colon rather than coming back into the small intestine, because the food will kind of that's its major resting place, is in the colon. So it's kind of, bacteria laden really. If you imagine a bin and you've got loads of food in there and you just leave it, that's kind of what you're doing. You've got food in this, it's digested food, and you've taken the nutrients out, and then you've got all this kind of waste product that's stuck in your colon, ready for the water to be taken out, so that all the excess fluids are absorbed in the colon, and then a firm stool is hopefully formed. Okay, the colon will absorb a little bit of protein at that point if it's necessary, but basically its job is to take the moisture, take the excess fluids out, so that we can then pass our waste through our backside. Okay, so that's quite simply the journey that food takes, and what's happening in each of those sections. So it's very important that each of those sections, the stomach, the small intestine and the large intestine, are all doing their jobs correctly. And that's why I want to go look into them in individual videos, so you get a real clear indication of what's going on and how you can support it. But what I want to do is start our little bit of coaching with where the digestion starts. Okay, so it begins in the mouth. So I'm going to start here. We're going to do a little bit on this now, and sort of set you up for the next videos. So digestion begins in the mouth, Saliva helps to begin the breakdown process. Detoxification enzymes, antibacterial substances have also been found in saliva, so it has a real big job to do. What's really, really important is that we chew our food, okay? Because chewing obviously breaks down the food to increase the surface area. Now, we haven't got teeth in our stomach, so we've got to use our teeth. We've got to chew our food before swallowing. And the sad thing is that in UK, Britons are reported chewing only about 6 times per mouthful, okay, before swallowing their food, with a reported 93% chewing less than the recommended 25 times per mouthful. So there are no, if you ask people how many times you chew food, or even next time you chew your food, you count how many times you chew your food. 25 times does take a little bit of time. And this seems to be one of the major obstacles, like everything else. One of the major hurdles we have to get over is time management. Now, the obstacles to chewing food thoroughly include kind of short lunches or long commutes, even longer working hours that we're doing. But you see, if you're willing to put that little bit extra time into chewing your food and sitting down and chewing your food properly, you're going to get the very, very most out of that food, because you'll be able to digest it properly, get the nutrients out properly, and you won't be rushing your food and eating it under stressful situations. So it really does start here, and making the time to do it. And I'm not just saying this, willy-nilly. There's been lots of research that backs that up, which I'm going to talk a little bit about now. Dr. Hendrik Smit and his colleagues, they studied an obvious aspect of eating slowly and therefore chewing more. Okay, so their findings were focused really on chews per mouthful, as it pertains kind of food intake, not necessarily the speed of actual eating. So the study found that 35 chews per mouthful reduced the amount consumed to 10 chews per mouthful by about 12%, even though meal duration, so the time it took to eat until feeling comfortably full, was twice as long. So it took them twice as long to eat, fair play, but they actually ate 12% less food. Okay? So this kind of matches other research by Harbin Medical University in China. They compared 40 chews per mouthful with 15 chews per mouthful and saw a similar 12% reduction in food intake. So what it means is that, okay, we're not necessarily overly interested in the amount of calories that we consume, but because we want to make sure that the nutrients that we eat, that's much more important. But the fair play, we do need to know, we don't want to be overeating. So our portion size does have to be controlled, and if we're trying to lose weight or maintain healthy weight, then calories does become important once we've got our nutrients right first. Okay. Now, because there's a a relationship shown between the chews per mouthful and the food that we eat, even though it's taking longer to eat our food. So we're digesting our food better, we're getting the most nutrients out of our food, we're assimilating those nutrients effectively, and we're eating less food. So all in all, it's going to be great for maintaining healthy weight, right? So eating slowly and chewing more to reduce the amount you eat, obviously, is going to help assimilate your nutrients, as I said. Perfect. So, lesson 1 then. Always eat at a table, okay? Don't have any TV dinners. And the same thing at lunchtime. Don't eat at your computer desk, okay? Make time to eat and chew your food. Always put down your utensils between each bite, okay? And concentrate on chewing your food thoroughly. If you can, it's much better to use mealtime as social time and engage in conversation, just to stretch out your meal and interrupt your eating a little bit. And chew your food at least 25 to 30 times before swallowing. So try and do those things. Okay, if you do that, you're going to start the whole digestive process off with a bang. And before that food passes down into your stomach, where we're going to be talking about that in a later video. Okay. So the next video I want you to watch is on gut flora, inflammation and obesity, and we're going to be looking at those links, okay? But there's obviously a distinct link between them all, so I want to really look at gut flora, making sure that we've got the right environment to really make the most of the food that we're eating and to boost the health of our system. So we're going to look at that in a little bit more detail. So I hope you found this little overview quite interesting. I'm really looking forward to taking on this little journey and showing you the best ways to improve your digestive system and obviously reach optimal health and vitality. So until then, see you later. Bye-bye.